namin, Secretary, that, but this is before you pa, no? Itong for PH program, in 2024 na allocation ng 750 million, but the disbursement rate is only 5%. And then in 2025, this year, may 683 million siya. The disbursement rate is only 0%, no? Walang nagamit.
Mr. Chair, kasi because the production was very low during 2025 and ngayon pala nagsisimula natin na inallow yung ibang modalities.
Ito.
Yes. In fact, 2024 ang na-take out lang was I think 24 units. So another 1,000 itong 2025.
Ba't ganun? Diba may demand tayo of merong growth kasi middle class to. So may growth tayo ng 180,000.
The demand was not for vertical. Masyadong mahal yung vertical for the
Even
demand.
yung 180,000 hindi niya kayang yung vertical.
1.8 po yun.
Diba doon sa 1C meron tayong 180,000 na non-ISF yun, diba? Doon sa growth natin. Kasi I have to correlate it to the demand eh. No? So even 180,000 in demand, ang bumili lang for
Yung
24 units.
We're balancing. It's not only the demand eh. Yung profitability. Since private sector, yung production kasi gusto nila yung may certain profit sila na kinukuha. So hindi nag-match yung demand saka yung profitability na gusto ng private sector. Kaya nga inaantay nila ngayon is the price ceiling increase that will increase the cost of socialized housing para mag-produce yung mga private developers.
Okay. And then ito kasi is meant to address the it's meant to subsidize the interest rates, 'di ba? Yung mga private developers ba are they when they build meron silang subsidy on the interest rates but meron ba silang guarantee on of the demand kung may bibili o at their own risk na yun?
Ang ginawa po natin through Pag-ibig, meron na po tayong survey. Itong sabi ko nga kanina, 30,000 yung nagpalista. Nandun na yung data kung saan nila gustong bumili, anong klaseng modality, horizontal, vertical. So binigay na natin yung parang indirectly market study to these developers. Minamatch ngayon nila ng production. So mostly po ang demand natin is horizontal, lumabas dun sa data
dito
natin.
sa bago. Pero sa dati, anong kung ako private, magpapatayo ako, anong guarantee ko na mabibili yung aking supply?
Yun nga po ang naging problema, Mr. Chair, nung dati. Tayo muna, tapos titingnan ko may demand. So, yung initially yung mga nagtayo, nahirapan. So,
pero at your own risk na yung pagtatayo.
Yun ang nangyari during the initial for PH. Kaya hindi na tumulo yung iba. For example, ang master plan ng isang developer for one project, 10. Nung tinayo niya yung una, nakita niya nahirapan siya magbenta, hindi niya na tinuloy. Kaya hindi na umusad ng mabilis yung 4PH. Pero in this case po, in-address na natin dahil yung demand na bigay na natin yung data kung anong klaseng modality yung may demand. And then ang horizontal din kasi is may subsidy. So doon po sa slide na may green and red, makikita po natin mababa yung horizontal. Hanggang income decile 3, kaya na yung horizontal with subsidy.
Alright. So yun yung bago, yung horizontal ang in-introduce nyo. Kasi
Yes.
based on your study, yun ang gusto ng tao.
Nandun po yung demand. Saka yun
Okay.
yung kaya nila.
Alright. Is that in Metro Manila? Yung
It's
meron pa
nearby,
bang-
nasa peripheral siya ng Metro Manila. Sa highly urbanized area talaga, we're pushing for vertical, although masyado nang mahal yung lupa. So rental talaga ang nakikita nating transitory stage ng mga bibili.
Okay. Alright. So itong kaninang pinakita namin na utilization, with this new introduction, that this will improve.
Yes, definitely.
Pero ang improvement naman dito will be the horizontal eh. Yung vertical
Horizontal.
ganun pa rin, di ba?
Yung mga vertical po, tinatapos na lang yung ongoing. Meron tayong ongoing na around 30,000 units. Yan po yung mga actual na building na tumatayo na pag natapos, it will generate 30,000 units.
But itong 30,000 units are not hindi ito yung gusto ng tao eh.
Hindi. Meron namang limited yung market niya. Masyadong mahal siya para dun sa target market.
Oh, but wala naman tayong risk doon, no? Government will not
Wala pa.
guarantee, let's say, the demand of those housing units.
Wala po, wala
Okay.
po. Private sector ang may risk doon. Pero we're trying to help them, of course, to market these projects para wag naman maipit.
Okay. So the innovation for the 700, kasi maglalagay tayo ulit 700 this coming 2026. The innovation for that 700 is the horizontal.
That's correct, Sir Chair.
And based on your analysis, the horizontal will be more in demand. Kasi ang punto natin, Secretary, ayaw natin, pag-usap natin next year, ganito ulit, 5%, 0%.
Ganito po yan. Yung 2025 kasi magagamit sa 2026 eh. So yun, mako-consume yun. Ang hindi mako-consume, to be honest with you, is yung bago nating ilalagay sa 2026 na magro-roll siya sa 2027.
Oo.
Hindi talaga mauubos yung 700 for the additional for the 2026. Pero yung from the 2025 budget, mako-consume po yun.
I
Based sa
would assume
projection.
itong 600, sabihin na natin, itong 683 will be a continuing appropriation.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so in 2026 meron kayong more or less mga 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion.
That's correct.
Yeah. Pero Secretary, from a cash management and budget management point of view, hindi rin efficient na maglalagay tayo 700 tapos hindi magagamit.
Ang ano lang namin
Mas
is,
maganda, andyan na yung 1.4, gamitin nyo na lahat.
depende kasi yun sa Mr. Chair, sa inventory eh. Kung ang problema natin is the inventory eh. So honestly, yung 2026 na ipapasok, hindi yan mako-consume. Ang mako-consume is the 2025 budget.
Okay, well, that's yan ang isang dapat natin pag-isipan kasi kami naman, we want to make sure that ilalagay natin mako-consume yan, or else sayang yung pondo. There's so many departments naghihingi sa amin ng pondo, no? So yan ang kailangan natin ma-assure na whatever we put 2026, granted andyan na yung 2025, di na nagamit, di nyo naman kasalanan yan. I'm just saying na nandyan na siya, maro-roll over siya, continuing appropriation for 2026, but we're putting another 700.
Yung another 700 o hindi, to be honest with you, malamang hindi yan ma-consume. Actually, we're trying...
Well, thank you for your honesty at least. Kasi may mga, iba, kahit hindi magamit, hingi ng hingi. Kaya we have to pull from other departments, ilalagay namin dito. Diba? Hindi ko naman sinasabi tatanggalin. I'm just saying lang na from a efficiency point of view.
Ang inaalala lang namin na pag tinanggal, baka hindi mabigyan sa 2027. Kasi doon namin, ang forecast namin sa 2027, inventories will come in eh.
I-review niyo lang, Secretary, kung kakayanin yung, again, kung makakaya, best case scenario, magamit yung 2026. You talk to your producers, the private sector, kung kakayanin lang. Pag hindi, then we appreciate the honesty. Yeah.
We'll do that, Mr. Chair.
Yung based on your study ba, Secretary, yung buyers ba is just interested on the interest subsidy, or is there a barrier to entry is the cost of the unit?
Mr. Chair,
The overall cost of the unit. Based on your study, kung sinubsidize, kasi interest subsidy to, which a model that sounds sound, but yun lang ba ang tinitignan ng buyer based on your
well, yung
research?
unit assist, kung wala, actually yung subsidy natin is only, if you look at it, kasi ang normal rate ng pag-ibig is 6.25. So, ang 3% nila na programa, meron na yung more or less 3% subsidy na naka-built in. Then plus another 2% subsidy from through GAA. So, ang subsidy niyan is nasa 5% if you look at it. So, without the subsidy, mahal pa talaga para sa kanila. Pero pag in-infuse na natin yung 3% pag-ibig subsidy and the 2% from the GAA, yung affordability issue na resolve na natin. Kaya kanina, nakita natin yung horizontal, yung third income decile, kaya na nila yung horizontal modality.
Yung binabayaran lang effectively ng mga buyers, 1%
1% interest.
Okay. Yung 2% ba hindi na kaya i-absorb ng pag-ibig?
Hindi, yung 3%
Nandiyan ba siya?
nahirapan
Dito
na
ba
po.
pag-ibig?
Nandiyan po.
Baka yun na lang mag-absorb niyan. Para makatipid kami ng 1.7 billion, ilagay namin sa ibang again, trabaho ko lang to, secretary, kasi ang
Mr.
daming pumupunta dito sa amin.
Mr. Chair, if I may explain, nung bago po natin binuksan yung 3% subsidy program, ang gaan na subsidy was 5%. Kasi 6%, 5% subsidy, 1% na lang ang natitira. So ngayon, ang baseline natin 3%. So nakatipid na po tayo ng 3%, no? Instead na 5, 2 na lang ang sinasubsidize through GAA.
Yung itong 2% is the cost of 700 million, di ba? Di ba kaya maabsorba ng pag-ibig yung 700 million? Magkano ba assets?
Nag-ambag na kasi, Mr. Chair, ng 3% yung pag-ibig. Baka maapektuhan kasi yung ibang programa ng pag-ibig. These are funds coming from the contributions kasi.
I understand. I'm just trying to find ways to fund the other requests.
I also tried to convince them to give more subsidy talagang. Yan lang.
Yan na, sagad na yan.
Hindi na ako pinagbigyan eh.
Sagad na yan. Sige.
And meron pa rin silang additional program, 4.5% for 1.8 million na horizontal. Kasi may demand din to yung mga OFWs. Ito yung hinahanap nilang range 1.8 million na horizontal. These are economic housing. So meron din subsidy ang pag-ibig doon, 1.5%.
Nandiyan ba yung ano? Ito ngayon. Yeah, kasi alam ko pag-ibig is one of the more productive GOCCs. GOCCs ang ano, no? Wala kayong request for subsidy. Tama? Kami na lang magre-request sa inyo ng subsidy.
Nag-vote.
Sige pa, ma'am. Sige. Ito, 1 trillion pala yung ano nyo eh. 1 trillion ang, how do you, ano? Yan. Yeah. It's a very liquid, but it's owned by the members, no? It's
Yes
owned by
po,
the
Mr.
members.
Chair.
Yeah. All right. Sige, I'm just, baka pwede nyo lang i-consider para makatipid kami ng 700 a year. I can put it somewhere else kung kaya naman. But I'll leave that to the departments to negotiate with one another. Okay. Sige. So hopefully itong 4PH will have, with this revive or reform 4PH, we'll see a better take-up next year. And I understand that ngayon it's more evidence-based or my research.
Yes.
And with the introduction of this horizontal project, how many horizontal projects ila-launch?
Ang commitment sa atin ng private sector is around 250,000. Pero we're assuming na around 180,000 can be produced until 2028. Then Pag-ibig also has a program for developers who want to do rental housing facilities. Meron tayong 3% dev loan for this program.
So those private, so pwede nang, for example, gusto kong magpatayo ng housing units pero paupa lang. There's a facility for that.
There's a dev loan facility in Pag-ibig, 3%.
Okay.
Although there's a ceiling of around 3,500 rental ceiling per unit.
3,500. That's pwede na yun.
Pwede na.
That's for Metro Manila, that's very competitive.
There are developers po kasi na ayaw ibenta yung lupa nila,
Yes,
but they want income.
How is the take-up of that, Secretary? Or
We have listed around, may interested na po tayong developers around 8,000 units po.
like sa Valenzuela, kasi we're an industrial town. So marami kaming mga workers, mga manggagawa namin comes from the other provinces. So umiikot lang sila, no? So marami sa amin nagpapaupa. In fact, ang upa is around ganyan, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 depending on the location. So kung merong facility for them to build more rental units from that facility, maganda yun for cities like us. At least yung mga entrepreneurs kahit na nakatiwangwang lang yung lupa nila, gawa nilang sila ng paupa. At least may cash flow. Kaysa bayad sila ng bayad ng amilyar, walang cash flow.
Kita natin, Mr. Chair, yung demand doon. Kaya nag-create ang Pag-ibig ng facility.
Yeah, that's a very good
3%
facility.
dev loan facility.
Yeah. And may subsidy ba doon sa paupa or wala
Yung
na?
interest na yun Kasi 6.5% din dapat yung dev loan. So nag 3%, kalahati na lang yung binigay ng Pag-ibig. Ang effect nun, mababa yung renta.
Yes, to the developer na yun.
To the developer.
To the developer.
Then may
na.
ceiling tayo sa rental.
May ceiling, yung 3,000 ceiling. That's a good program. Good program. Siguro one of these days, hingi kami ng update on that program. I think, ako kasi, nakita niyo naman sa Valenzuela, and I was talking to Press Laksa about this. Ang model sinundan namin sa Valenzuela, yung public rental housing.
Yes.
Kasi nung after Ondoy, nagtatayo kami ng, i-relocate na namin yung mga nasa danger zones. Ako personally, I went to, hindi yung pinakamagagandang housing program, pinakapangit na housing program sa buong Pilipinas. And pinuntahan ko yung Vitas, pinuntahan ko yung GK na project na nagkagulo-gulo na. And one of the things na natutunan namin, once you introduce tenure, naaabuso. I'm not saying all, but naaabuso siya. So, nangyari, bibigyan mo ng tenure, bebenta naman yung rights. In Metro Manila can range from 200,000 all the way to 500,000. Pag binigay mo na yung rights, yung bago, hindi mo naman mapaalis, kawawa naman. So, and then it perpetuates itself Paikot lang siya ng paikot. No, so that's why in Valenzuela sinundan nilang namin yung public rental housing para we have certain level of control on who will stay in the housing facility. Dahil kung nabentahan ng rights drug addict, problema ka na naman. Kung nabentahan criminal, hindi mo naman mapapalis kasi binili niya ng 500,000, patayan na 'yon. Diba? So that's what we followed, and I'm very happy to hear na meron ng ganun na product ngayon ang Pag-ibig. No? So laking bagay 'yon. Bagay. I'll go to another important program, Secretary. Ito yung Integrated Disaster Shelter Assistance Program. Actually, tinext ako ni Secretary Rex about this kasi I think you guys are nagpartner yata kayo in ito sa mga nangyari. And I support this. In fact, yun ang unang tanong ko nga sa kanya, paano yung mga nasiraan ng bahay? What support do we give them? And
Mr. Chair, actually, ITSAP is rental cash assistance, no? 10,000 for partially damaged and 30,000 for fully damaged. ITSAP is not used for production. So cash assistance po talaga to. Unfortunately, for this year, may budget tayo na around 550 million. Pero ang actual na kailangan for this year, umaabot ng over 3 billion Kasi sa dami ng mga nangyari this year, kinapos yung 550 na for this year. That's the
Secretary's cash binibigay nyo?
cash.
Wala kayong, let's say, pinapatayong ano?
Wala. ITSAP is purely cash assistance.
How do you assure that the cash goes to housing materials? Kasi the philosophy here, diba, is it goes to pangbili ng bubong or pangbili ng pader.
Well,
Or bahala na sila?
Bahala na sila. Basta yun yung tulong ng housing department.
Kasi yan ang challenge. Kasi kung tayo naman bibili ng yero, napakahirap naman yun. No? Yung logistics ng yero is another issue.
Although we're trying also for Masbate, itong recent na Masbate and Cebu, we're sending construction materials. Pero not from ITSAP.
So ang requirement ninyo for
basing it from Mr. Chair, itong 2025 na nasa 3 billion, then may 3 months pa. Ang request namin is medyo malaki na 4 billion for next year. We're just basing it on the data we got from this year.
Pero ang NEP ninyo is 412.
Yes.
So malaki. Pag ganito, can you tap into the NDRMC fund?
Yes, pero
Agawan yan.
Agawan Hindi rin kami nakakuha masyado ron.
Agawan yan And then typically binibigay ito to typhoon-stricken
Typhoon
area?
and earthquake usually.
Okay, all right. Itong mga itong example nyo kanina na ito yung mga damages na nangyari. No, partially damaged, totally damaged. Ito kasama na dito yung in 2 lindol tsaka 1 bagyo. Tama? O lahat-lahat na ito, no?
Kasama na po, but the number that we have today does not include pa yung mga bagong lindol like yung sa Davao.
Sa Davao.
Hindi
no?
pa po namin naisama.
Yeah. So, ang requirement ninyo is 199, close to 200 million.
Ang budget po last year was 200. This year we were allocated 550. Pero next year binababo to 400 lang po yung 550 natin.
Yeah, nakita ko nga siya. But for this year, for 2025, as of October,
Naka 200 na po kami. And then
ito
last
yun?
week, opo.
Is the one?
And then they released 350 just last week po sa amin.
Pero hindi pa tuto yung request. Ito lang yung nabayaran dahil sa 200 million na initial na dinownload sa amin.
Magkano pa ang natitira for 2025?
We just got 350 release last week po.
Of your 500?
Opo, of the 550. But the existing request right now, yung talagang natanggap na ng region namin, 1 billion na po.
1 billion na.
Kulang.
Opo.
So may utang na kayo na
Opo.
500?
Opo. So we actually also wrote the DBM and pinag-usapan po kung makahingi kami doon sa contingency fund ng presidente. But for this year lang po. So next year nag-request po kami ng mas malaki kasi yun po based on today's experience, this year's experience, kukulangin yung 400 that's allocated for next year.
Alright. Doon ko na lang kunin sa 4PH, kayo na lang maglibre ng 2%. Para may pwede kong ilipat-lipat. No? Itong mga partially damaged, totally damaged, is it DSUD who inspects and determines kung partially damaged or ano siya? Or
Mr.
damaged?
Chair, kami po nagva-validate but this morning dun sa meeting po namin ng National Interagency Coordinating Council, nag-agree na po kami na tutulong ang DSWD, ang local government, DILG, DPWH. Kasi pag kami lang po hindi kakayanin, mas mahaba po yung backlog given the amount of houses that were damaged. So this morning may agreement na po na tutulong yung ibang agencies pa-accelerate yung validation.
Okay. Kasi meron na ba kayong, do you have regional offices already?
We have regional offices but depende po, like in the case of Bicol which habitually gets typhoon, mas malaki po yung request for assistance in that area. In some other regions naman like those in region 4B like Palawan, wala naman silang earthquake o walang ganun. So hindi po pare-pareho yung number of requests, depende po sa lugar.
Okay.
Mr.
Alright.
Chair.
Sige, we'll try to so that's one of the later on we'll talk about the wish list hindi niyo yata na present which sige, we can talk about that kung meron kayong wish list na.
So Mr. Chair, ito po yung request. Una yung sa kakulangan sa pagpapatayo ng bahay. Yung NHA, kung pwede pong ma-increase to 10 billion, nabigay po sa kanila is 2.2 and then sa SHAPC to 500 million from 166 million. Yung second po, ito yung IDSAP. Na-compute po namin yung 4 billion based on this year's numbers. No? And then what we're also suggesting, kasi yung bagong batas na ng NHA, nagtayo po ng Disaster and Emergency Response Office which was not in their old charter. So what we're suggesting, kung pwedeng i-consolidate yung INSAB funds ng DSUD dun sa NHA so that there will be easier single shelter emergency assistance fund. Also, very extensive po yung network ng offices ng NHA. So mabilis po nilang madidisburse yung funds available. The last po, wala pong quick response fund po tayo. Right now, ang ginagamit po natin yung sa escrow natin lang para mapabilis yung pag-deliver natin. So nagre-request po kami ng quick response fund of 500 million also for NHA, given that they have their charter already allows them to do that. Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Talking about quick response sa kay IDSAP, mayroong COA report na may issue yata on validation, incomplete documentation, and unverified beneficiaries of IDSAP and the NDRRM funds.
That was
Yeah.
actually a special item in Cordillera Autonomous Region. At that time, wala pong separate pondo. Humingi po ang DSUD sa NDRRMC. So nag-allocate po sila ng pondo sa Cordillera Autonomous Region. No? So based on that, there were a few cases, less than 10 naman yon na cases na validate. Some were
Yeah.
claiming na bayaran pero hindi daw nila natanggap. But eventually they were validated na meron namang
That's a reason why I ask yung validation, importante kasi kung ako yung nasiraan, I will always claim fully damaged or complete damage, di ba? And this is where the debate comes in. Partially damaged ka ba? Complete damage ka ba? Malaking ano yan eh. In fact, nung mayor ako, pag nasusunog, yan parating away eh. Kung fully damaged ka o hindi ka fully damaged, kung ikaw ba yung owner or renter ka, yan yung mga issues on the ground when you do validation. That's why I ask kung meron kayong machinery or meron kayong offices to do the validation. Yeah.
we do, Mr. Chair, but as shared with you earlier, we've already seek the help of the interagency to allow us to fast track yung validation. Just this morning, there were reports nga tulad dun sa Davao, some selected barangays bloated po yung number of damages compare sa natatanggap ng NDRMC numbers. So yun, pag nangyari yan, binavalidate po namin bakit nag-bloat yung number. So that's part of the validation process that we're doing.
I was going to say sana na kung sapat yung pondo to cover the housing backlog. Obviously, we're just addressing at least portion of the backlog. No, it's really a function of funds. Really function funds, and that's why yung introduction ng mga iba-ibang products at iba-ibang method modalities, maganda rin yun para at least ma-target natin iba-ibang income classes, no? Especially the poor, no? Yan ang importante. May mga kababayan tayo nakatira sa ISF or generations no? So minsan 2 generation, 3 generations na, and sila rin yung prone to crime dahil in environment nila obviously hindi ganun kaayos, prone to fire and then calamities. So sila dapat mabigyan natin ng priority, no? So I'm happy that nakita ko na tweak yung program, although yung 700 di talaga pupunta sa kanila, but at least kasali na sila doon sa CMP2 and the other programs na ngayon ko lang nalaman na na-hold, no? Ngayon na binalik na yung programs na yun, no? Are there any other programs to hit the marginalized, Secretary, other than those 4 that you identified?
Basically, all the modalities na nakalista na doon So, it's a matter of ano lang talaga, fund to implement these programs.
I'll go to some of the attached agencies. Ito na ba nakwentuhan namin ni Press kanina, yung Human Settlements Adjudication Commission.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Nakita ko dito sa data namin na almost 500 cases on the average
Yes,
are
sir.
from homeowners association.
Yes, sir.
Ako may solution ako dyan. Mag-jack and poy na lang sila. Nung mayor ako, yan rin ang pinaka-problema ko parati.
Wish we could, sir.
Diba?
Yes,
And then, actually, the first line of defense parati niyan, kapitan. Pinupuntahan nila yung kapitan. Pag hindi ma-solve, pupuntahan si mayor.
Yes,
Pag
sir.
hindi mapuntahan si mayor, sa inyo na pupunta.
Yes, sir.
Kaya ako, nung mayor ako, I always tell them, mag-jack and poy na lang kayo kung sino presidente. No, but I saw that in the data na ganito para karami ang homeowners disputes all over the country.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And it's not just, well, Because of the existence of several subdivisions already, so nag-increase din yung disputes that may arise between some of the homeowners and yung mga those that file a complaint against the members of the existing board. Iba-iba yung nature of cases, sir, nila eh.
So right now, can you give us a snapshot? How many cases are pending? How many cases are being filed? How many cases are pending? Itong record namin, this is only for homeowners. For 2025, ang na-file is 224, na-disposed is 250, and then pending, tama ba? 524?
Sir, for 2025, our existing cases right now is 462. And this is for real estate cases. But for HOA, we have 359.
359.
And we have disposed of about 218.
So ilan nilang po ang pending?
Our target is actually 60% of the total cases that are ripe for decision. And by that, it means, sir, that it is already submitted for decision. Because we cannot really determine the amount of time that will be consumed from the time the complaint is filed and up to the time the case is submitted for decision. So the target of 60% is really based on those that are ripe for decision already. And we have achieved at least the 61% already. Out of the 359, we have closed up to 218.
What is the
Half of the year at least.
disposition rate ng cases? Meaning how the amount of cases coming in and the amount of cases coming out. Do you measure it that way? Sa judiciary, that's how they measure it. But in your case,
Average disposition rate, sir, from 2022 to 2024, it's actually 74%.
74%.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in other words, in simple terms, 74% of the cases coming in, nadidispose within
We try at least.
within a certain period.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then in the real estate management, we'll flash the slide. Tama ba ho? As of 2025, 1,482 cases are pending. Actually, we got this from your office. We asked for updates. Tama ba? Tama ang ano. And the disposition rates for real estate, I'm sure mas mabagal to, no? Kasi mas complicated yung mga real estate eh. Around 70% rin. Okay. Okay, that's good. Is there a way to, parang NLRC, is there a way to deputize the LGUs? Kausap namin kasi NLRC, di ba meron tripartite council
Yes.
for labor cases, industrial cases, and that's to unplug yung NLRC with labor cases. Maybe a concept that you can think of. Kasi yung mga, to be honest, nung mayor ako ho, marami talagang away ng homeowners.
Yes,
Na
sir.
from informal to, hindi ko nga alam bakit nag-aaway sila para maging presidente. No? I really don't understand. From
Yes, sir.
informal to subdivision. And we try to mediate at our own level. No? Minimediate namin at our own level. Sometimes, I remember there was one time, yung City Hall naging COMELEC, and nagkaroon sila ng re-election kasi it was an election issue eh. No?
Yes, sir.
Tandaan ko pa ngayon, sino ba ang bona fide member? Yung mga nagbabayad ba o yung may-ari ng lupa? Naabutan ko lahat to yun eh. No? So is there a way to deputize, let's say, the LGU, just like what NLRC is doing? Para at the para hindi na, para ma-clog rin kayo, 'di ba? Yung mga maliliit na cases na ganun.
Yes, sir. However, the law kasi mandates HSAC to adjudicate kasi. It's
All?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
If at all, what we can do is to coordinate with the LGU, ask for the issuance of a resolution of the City Council to help us in terms of execution. And there are times, as you mentioned, election cases. And in election cases, if we can help or we can ask the LGU to assist us in terms of holding election, that's on
Yes.
execution. It can be done po, sir.
Okay.
But on
Kasi-
execution, but not on in terms of adjudication because that has been...
Ano lang, for mediation lang. Diba? For example, if both parties agrees to hold a re-election and the LGU is the COMELEC or observer, para lang unbiased. Diba? Nagawa namin yun eh. I think a few cases. No?
Well, the option-
mahirap pa. It's not but araw-araw kasi nandun na kami. So araw-araw pumupunta sila. So that was the solution that we
Yeah.
proposed.
The option, sir, is always with the with the complainants or the homeowners. No, they have the option to go to the LGU to ask for assistance, and then they have the option also to file in HSAC, and that's where we enter the picture as a quasi adjudicatory body to entertain complaints that may be filed before our regional offices.
Were there an instance where LGUs had any formal parang formal engagement with HSAC in terms of
Execution, sir?
execution or mediation?
Not that I know
Not formal,
of,
no?
Not
Not
that
I'm
formal,
just
sir.
following. Pinuntahan kasi kami ng NLRC and Valenzuela kasi we have a very active yung TIPC, Tripartite Industrial Peace Council.
Because you have an industry in
Oh, yeah.
Valenzuela.
So, and they were very happy because we basically the TIPC is the one first line of defense
Yes,
to
sir.
prevent mga strikes, prevent industrial conflict.
Yes, sir.
If the TIPC cannot handle it, tsaka umaakyat sa NLRC. So I'm thinking of the same model for HSAC since a lot of these homeowners talagang LGU ang pinupuntahan nila eh.
Are very emotional, in fact.
Very, very.
Yes, sir.
I've seen that. I've seen that firsthand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
In fact,
also...
umaabot pa minsan sa patayan.
Yes, sir.
Meron kaming cases na ganun.
It's unfortunate.
3 cases na ganun. Yeah.
Yeah. But the option remains with the complainant, sir, if they will file in HSAC or sometimes in DSUD or in the LGU, at least at the initial stage, the LGU can assist. But if the parties will opt to file in HSAC, it will be through the regional arbitration branches.
So it's something to think about lang, no? So that we can, as much as possible, if we can unclog the HSAC, mas maganda yun. No?
Yes, sir. But I think it will also need legislation.
Legislation,
Po kasi
yeah.
right now, the mandate is really on HSAC.
Okay. Ayan, hindi ko nakita yon nung dinidiscuss in law. But I understand that the SUD can also adjudicate. Tama ba?
Sir,
There's also a power.
the role of HSAC kasi is, the quasi-adjudication role has been granted to HSAC in the creation of 11201. Regulation was granted to DSUD while adjudication was given to HSAC.
Election.
It includes election cases as well for HOAS, yes.
Okay. So,
And the first stage of adjudication, sir, is really conciliation. So it's really the mandate of HSAC. From the time conciliation sets in, it's the first stage of adjudication.
how do you define the role of DSUD and HSAC?
When the law 11201 was created, the regulation part was granted to DSUD and the adjudication part was granted to HSAC.
So kung may mga homeowner disputes, it's really HSAC that
The primary agency, sir, that will
okay.
be tasked to handle the adjudication.
There was an instance, I think, in Multinational Village where there's a different decision from HSAC and then a different intervention from DSUD. I think, if I'm not mistaken, here, HSAC disqualified the 2019 board and ordered new elections, but DSUD later reinstated the same officials and allowed them to oversee the 2024 elections.
Mas,
there was a decision rendered by HSAC, and because we have limited sheriffs to handle the execution, we asked DSUD to assist us in the execution and conduct the election, to oversee the election.
Pero parang in this case, iba yung HSAC removed the board but DSUD reinstalled the same board that you removed in multinational village.
Unfortunately, sir, I was not
Privy to that.
yes, sir. It
Okay.
happened last year.
Secretary.
Yes,
I'm just trying to understand the delineation of responsibility.
Tama po yun. May mga cases na magkaiba yung desisyon ng DSUD sa HSAC. Kaya we're trying to harmonize para magkaintindihan, para isa lang yung basis ng mga desisyon. So we're in the process of hopefully if both DSUD and HSAC will agree, we have to really sit down and start the discussions of the TWG for harmonization. So talagang kailangan, of course, prior to my appointment, marami talagang cases na ganun po. Hindi lang yung multinational.
But in the case of multinational, ang pumasok doon is your regulatory powers.
In the
Tama
case
ba?
of multinational, Mr. Chairman, there was a decision from HSAC. That decision was appealed to the Court of Appeals. It was reversed, and that decision of the Court of Appeals was affirmed by the Supreme Court. So in the exercise of regulatory powers of DSUD, we conducted election in multinational using the final and executory judgment of the Supreme Court. So there is technically no conflict in the decision between HSAC and DSUD insofar as multinational is concerned, because we did not decide. We just exercise our regulatory powers to once and for all settle the issues concerning the community of the multinational.
Acted on the decision of the Supreme Court in this particular
Yes,
case.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, all right. And one good thing is based on data, 90% ng decisions ng HSAC is
Our
affirmed
affirmance rate, sir, is very high. It's
affirmed by the CA.
96%.
Except for multinational, no? I think yun in 10%.
Well,
Yung 10% na na-reverse,
based on
pero
our
90% panalo naman.
yeah,
Oo.
based on our record, sir, we have a very high affirmance rate.
Oo, that's very good. Itong multinational kasi mayayaman yan eh. No? Kaya pwede i-appeal. Siguro yung mga ISF, pag anong sinabi na HAC, yun na yun. So, but that's it's good to hear that the 90% are being affirmed
96%.
by 96%.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'll go to NHA. Okay. And then okay. Sa NHA, there's a 2.2 billion subsidy, GM, no, na ibibigay.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And then you mentioned earlier the 2.2 subsidy will go to
1 billion is for housing for the SC Mandamus, and 1 billion is for calamity housing. Then the 200 million is part of our emergency housing assistance program, wherein we also give financial assistance similar to INSAB, Mr. Chair.
Actually, that's what I wanted to ask. No? Anong difference nung ni IDSAP and yung emergency housing program? Kasi dito, which 200 million for emergency housing program, for the emergency housing assistance program, EHAP, which provides immediate housing assistance in the form of cash aid to victims of calamities to facilitate prompt recovery and shelter construction.
Actually,
Pareho eh.
Mr. Chair, it's a similar program wherein we give financial assistance to man-made or natural calamities doon sa mga tinamaan po ng earthquake, bagyo, fire. We also harmonize with the DSUD on a similar na po kami wherein we give 10,000 pesos for those partially damaged and 30,000 pesos for those totally damaged houses.
That's why, Mr. Chair, in our wish list kasama yun na we are requesting na yung IDSAP for 2026 sa NHA natin ilagay para ma-consolidate na yung IHAP saka IDSAP.
So the move of the department is to put it under NHA.
NHA.
Bakit NHA? Hindi
Mas
DSU?
yung organization nila mas malawak sila nationwide, and nasa charter din nila dun sa bagong charter nila. And then kami kasi more on regulatory talaga yung
Yung
training
policy,
ng
no?
tao namin
Policy
So,
making
yes.
and regulatory. Planning, policy
Yes.
making, regulatory. So
For-
ang execution,
NHA.
yan ang direction ng
Yes.
Okay.
For
Alright.
the information din po of Mr. Chair, we started the IHAP program since 2013 pa po. So it's a regular program po of the National Housing Authority.
And then I'll ask this to all of the attached key shelter agencies. I was reviewing your balance sheet and income statement, and yung mga key shelter agencies, they're quite big. Like for example, sa NHA, assets of about 26 billion. Yung mga ibang key shelter agencies, malalaki rin sila, no? Billions rin yung kanilang assets, and lahat kumikita, no? All the key shelter agencies are turning a profit before subsidy, no? So ang tanong ko, bakit pa pumupunta dito para humingi ng subsidy? Magagaling naman tong mga key shelter agencies natin, Secretary.
Yeah, I think
diba?
each
Dapat I'm sure ayaw nyo na kami makita dito, mga politiko, diba? Kung kaya nyo na ma-finance sarili nyo, mas maganda yon.
But sa laki po kasi ng requirement, especially sa production, no, because of the backlog, we really need infusion from the national government.
Like for example, dito sa socialized housing finance is 45 billion ang assets. Net worth is about 12 billion. And then profit before subsidy is about 195 million. So lahat magagandang performance And I'm saying this because I really commend the key shelter agencies for being managed quite well, no? So ang ano ko, kung maganda naman yung cash flow, kaya naman ng internally generated, why come to Congress and the Senate to ask for more subsidies, no? Hindi ba kaya ng internally corporate operating budget natin to, yung
The
sariling
head
corporate
of the
funds?
agencies will explain, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Ito yung apat na agencies, socialized housing, NHA, mutual home development fund, and yung yes. Yun. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, for the part of National Housing Authority, we only have a minimal income of 36 million, and majority of the, if not karamihan po ng housing projects of the NHA, some of these are grant. In fact, Yolanda Housing, Marawi Housing, wherein we don't recover this, and we only get our MOE from our corporate generated revenue. So we really need an NG subsidy to produce these houses, especially if it's by grant, Mr. Chair.
Projected profit for 2026 is 66 million
Yes, Mr.
before
Chair.
subsidy, no? And then I saw in your income statement, yung business income ninyo, the revenues largely come from business income,
Yes, commercial properties, Mr. Chair.
okay, which you lease out. What
Yes,
are
sir.
these commercial properties?
One of this, the biggest of this is one in Vertis North with the Ayala. It's a JV with the Ayala Corp. So we get this business revenue to pay for our PS and MOE, Mr. Chair.
Ang inyong assets actually is 207 billion.
Yes,
But
Mr. Chair.
marami dito mga bahay, no? Bahay.
Actually, majority of this would be commercial lots which are being used also with other government agencies. yung mga offices or regional offices ng mga ibang other agencies where we just lent the lot for use of rock. But it's still in our book. It's still in our books as asset, Mr. Chair.
Hindi ba pwede nila bilhin nilang yun? To generate...
Mr. Chair, marami pong agency ang may utang sa amin. Hindi pa po sila pagbayad till now.
Dapat eject nyo na lang.
Nakalista
para,
na lang po, Mr. Chair.
if they can, one pocket to the other pocket lang naman yun. But if you can generate revenue from them, at least makakatipid tayo on the subsidy. But yun na nga, no? These are all government agencies. So ito yung mga regional, I would assume ito yung mga regional centers.
In fact, there are like PDEA owes us about 1 billion. Yung,
Because of their property, in office sila.
Yung main office nila is our property po.
Okay. And they don't pay rent.
They don't pay.
You don't pay rent. So
Yeah.
ano sila, parang...
Parang
staff ko ISF. Pero PDEA naman yun. Nakakatulong naman sa atin yun.
Yes.
No? Importante naman sila.
there are lots, especially in Quezon City, Mr. Chair.
Because of the property there.
Yeah,
No?
because majority of the property in Quezon City Circle and East Avenue is owned by the NHA.
Okay. Yung next year ang corporate funds nyo, you plan to use 27 billion for your corporate funds. And this 27 billion mostly will go into may 6 billion will go into developmental programs. Developmental program and service related. So, ito ba yung mga production of houses?
I'm not sure which.
Dito sa ano nyo, sa next year your operating budget, your COB is 29 billion. 6 billion will go into 6 billion will go into a program called Developmental Program, Service Related.
This will be part of our housing project, Mr. Chair.
Ito yung mga housing projects ninyo.
Yes.
And then how many units are we going to produce with that production to of houses? Itong 6 billion?
This is including prior year's budget po, Mr. Chair, and including this year's budget of 2.2 billion. The 6 billion will generate around 6 to 7,000 housing units.
6 to 7. And mostly these are low income, no? Ang NHA yan talagang target niya.
Resettlement housing, Mr. Chair.
Resettlement housing.
Resettlement.
Okay. Saan itong mga resettlement housing? Itong 6 to 7,000?
This would be in Caloocan, Navotas, Valenzuela, in Region 4, Mr. Chair, Cavite, and Laguna.
So meron na siyang pupuntahan.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Actually, itong 6 billion to, if you compare this to the total housing requirement, di siya ganun kalaki. No. We're
It's
talking about
minimal.
only 7,000 units. So, but kanina, ang ating estimate is about 1.3 million requirement. So, malayo pa tayo. Layo pa. Just submit to us itong breakdown nung 6.7 billion worth of housing units. Submit to us the locations.
We will submit, Mr. Chair.
Meron lang kami kasi yung gagamitin ng 2.2 eh.
In fact, Mr. Chair, our Tier 1, which are ongoing project, is amounting to almost 32 billion. But since 2.2 lang po yung nabibigay sa GAA, we just budget it accordingly kung ano po yung mabilis matapos.
Yeah, yung sa 2.2, yan pupunta yan sa Imandamos, sa Manila Bay. And then yung housing assistance program for calamity victims.
And the comprehensive and integrated housing program.
Itong housing assistance program for calamity victims, iba pa ito sa IHAP.
This is housing po, calamity housing. This is permanent housing for those affected by calamities.
Nasa net ba siya? But this is the 2.2. 2 billion. Okay. Alright. Sige. Ano sa yung calamity? Ito sa Camarines Sur. Itong housing assistance program for calamity na 1 billion, iba pa siya sa IHAP. It's
This is construction of housing units, Mr. Chair.
okay. Where is it located?
I think these are yung Typhoon Pablo and Typhoon Odette pa po before. So, Kamsur area, Tigaon, and Tabaco area.
Construction to, actual construction
Construction.
na siya. Okay. And kayo may NHA owns the land or who owns the land in this case?
The others are LGU owned, but the
Okay.
others, it's package po kasi ng house and lot.
Okay.
So, we bid out house and lot na po.
Itong mga kagaya itong sa housing assistance program for calamity, these are purely grant to. Walang walang amortization.
Wala po.
So,
Case to case po, depende po sa, if we have a presidential directive that it will be grant, it will be a grant.
okay.
But if not, some are recoverable.
Okay. Ito yung binabayad nila at magkano na nga? 200, 300?
This around 800 pesos.
800 pesos a month. Tumaas na. Dati 200 lang yun eh. And then just submit to us nilang yung yung sa itong 6,000 to 7,000 housing units.
We will submit, Mr. Chair, all our ongoing projects.
Sige, para we have a list and para meron kaming inventory nun. And then I'll go to social housing finance kay President Lacsa.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I saw that merong actually may subsidy na 166 million. Actually maliit lang compared
Yes.
to your size
Yes.
compared to your size. Kailangan pa ba ito? Kailangan
Yes,
niyo ba ito?
yes, Mr. Chair. You might be referring to our COB, Corporate Operating Budget,
Yeah,
for
13.
2025, which is about 13.6 billion.
Mm.
But the fund source of this program, which is at 13.6, consists of CMP, HDH, and also our other special resettlement programs that are being funded by other agencies like DOTR, Intramuros Administration, and years ago, the Marawi, for the Marawi rehabilitation. But basically, for the CMP program, it will be solely funded through our GAA. Although we have collections amounting to about 1.4 billion a year, which should be around 1.5 billion this year, considering that we exerted a lot of effort in improving our collection efficiency, Mr. Chair, it will not be enough to cover both our operating expenses and also our requirements for the CMP program.
Yeah. One of your flagship programs in CMP.
Mr. Chair.
Lacsa. And yung CMP can be off-site and on-site, diba?
That's
Yeah.
There are two types, Mr. Chair. One is an on-site CMP, and an on-site and off-site CMP. An on-site CMP are those already occupying certain land, and we assist them by financing the acquisition of their land. Recently, through the directive of our secretary, we enhanced the CMP to include site upgrading, considering that the main criticism on the CMP project for the past many years is that we only assist them in acquiring the land and they remain blighted for years. So we incorporated the additional components, Mr. Chair, to include upgrading, including the improvements on their road networks, drainage system, and water and power if necessary, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, next year will be you'll be allocating 6.2 billion for community mortgage program.
Obviously, we don't have that much anymore, Mr. Chair, considering that the NEP given to us is only 166 million, of which 90 million is for CMP.
90 million lang for CMP?
Right, Mr. Chair. Fortunately, the SUD is helping us for this year just to be able to roll out the initial CMP applications that were submitted to us, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Yung 90 million will come from national government subsidy, but I think your internally generated, your corporate funds will fund 6.2 billion in terms of...
Yung collection po natin is only 1.5 billion a year. That includes collection from our receivables plus yung interest income natin. Yung business income natin comes mainly from the interest from these receivables from our CMP.
CMP. Kumusta yung collection natin sa CMP? How much is the collectible?
Mr. Chair, yung current accounts namin, pumapalo siya ng more than 99%. But yung cumulative, including those problematic accounts, mga about 70%, Mr. Chair.
So total, yung mga problematic is about 70%.
Unti-unti namin pong na-address na yung problem dyan sa we created the special unit that will address all of these problematic accounts, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Well, one model rin, Secretary, to consider is engaging the LGUs. But not all LGUs are created equal. Iba-ibang LGUs. No? Masasabi ko lang sa amin because we take shelter and housing very seriously. In fact, we have a dedicated office for housing. And one of the things that we work with the KSAs, the key shelter agencies, is to allow the LGUs to be the collecting agent, and the tawag ni Secretary Rex, tawag niya doon, property manager, parang property manager, because yung LGU may stake kami doon sa housing eh. Pag maayos yung housing, mas tahimik yung housing, mas mas gusto natin kasi walang problema. So making sure that the housing project is paying its dues and also maintained well is also to the interest of the local government units. At napansin ko, mas takot sila magkaroon ng utang sa mayor kaysa kay President Lacson. Kasi hindi nila nakikita si President Lacson, si mayor nakikita nila araw-araw eh, no? So one of the models that we I think we had an engagement with NHA and SHAPSI is to allow the local government to collect, and then pag anong na-collect, kung anong due sa SHAPSI ibigay, kung anong due sa LGU di ibigay kasi may land component para wala ring sakit ang ulo yung national agency. Mahirap mangolekta. In fact, I remember yung first Northville during that time. Iba pa yung administration. HADSI pa at that time. Problematic talaga sila mangolekta bahay-bahay. In fact, I remember gumawa sila ng office doon at araw-araw nangongolekta sila ng 200 pesos per house. that's not the job of the national agencies anymore. Dapat ang national agencies policy na lang eh. Yung mga ganyan na bahay-bahay collection, LGUs na lang ang magtrabaho. Total, araw-araw naman nandun ang LGU. No?
Yeah. Actually, Mr. Chair, hindi lang sa CMP, we already started coordinating with some LGUs doon sa rental modality. So, ang concepts, itatayo yung housing doon sa property ng LGU. And then pag naitayo, it will be turned over to LGU for estate management. Sila na yung
State management ang tawag ni Sec Rex, I remember. When he was the mayor.
Yun po yung natin, tinitingnang modality.
Kasi like sa amin, in fact, yung mga Northville projects, yung mga disiplina projects, ang gusto natin parating maayos eh. But I realize na ang tao mas natatakot at rinirespeto yung local officials kasi sila ang nandun araw-araw eh. So if there's an arrangement that will empower the local government units to do the estate management, even the collection through AMOA, I think that will be a good model for para hindi rin kayo sakit ang ulo kasi
That's the intention, Mr. Chair. In fact, we have one rental facility to be started na, yung sa University of the Philippines. So, ganun din, itatayo natin yung walk-up buildings and then it will be turned over to UP and then they will be the one to do the estate management, including collection.
collection, no? And then i-remit na lang sa inyo kung anong
Actually, dito
collection.
hindi na i-remit kasi using escrow fund. So, pang estate management talaga
Pang
nila.
ano na lang nila. Mas maganda yon, mas maganda. Yeah, but not all LGUs are created equal. I know some LGUs probably don't like the headaches, but sa amin kasi we don't like the headaches ng magulo, no? And the only way to do that is to have certain say in the estate management and collection.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct, Mr. Chair.
So I'll go to National Home Mortgage Finance. There's also a request here for 450 million. Tama?
No, that's only 400,000.
400,000. Alam niyo, yung oras niyo, mas maganda pa na sa office para pumunta kayo dito humingi ng 400,000.
It's fine. It's fine.
Sayang,
it's all right.
sayang yung executive time.
Yeah,
Oo.
we can
Kaya nga
do that.
nagkamali ako dito, parang 450, akala ko
Yeah.
nagkamali yung staff eh.
No. Actually, our contribution of our retainer is
Bakit President kayo pupunta dito for 450,000? Dapat,
I'm here to support our secretary to make sure that we're here.
yeah. I don't know if I should ask pa about 450,000, but saan magagamitin yung 450,000?
You really don't need to
Oo
ask.
nga, eh, parang, oo. No, but to be honest about it, rini-review namin. There's a alam ng mga ano ito ng LBRMO, meron account called budgetary support to government corporations, and we're rationalizing because there's a lot of government corporations na maganda yung performance, no? But minsan nagtataka ko, bakit pa sila pupunta dito to ask for subsidies, no? If they can carry it on their own account. Kagaya nito na 450,000 lang, no? Parang
Our contribution to the treasury this year from our retained earning is 377 million from our.
Yes.
So, yes, you're right. Our EBITDA is pretty efficient.
Yeah, your profit before subsidies about 1.1 billion. Eh.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then how much dividends do you remit?
Just as I just said, we contributed 377 million.
In dividends
That's right,
to
yes.
national government. All right. And so far, how many units have you financed?
For this year, we're rather slow because we are really focusing on other financial institutions instead of directly. Well, we're in the business of buying
Yeah.
mortgages, so that we unfreeze mortgages which are 30 years. So we unfreeze that, and we put it into, and then we put it into securities, and we sell the securities to the private sector. So the private sector invests in the housing industry. Basically, that's our business model. Right.
But how many? diba, you
So
buy-
this year, we've been
But
rather
total?
slow because we're shifted our focus from purchasing directly from developers, but directly from financial institutions. Though we still continue to purchase
mortgages
from developers.
But how many in terms of number of units? How much have you? How much is in your portfolio right now? Because you buy mortgages, diba? And then may mga housing units yun eh, mga mortgage. So how many units in your inventory of mortgages?
Well, for the past 3 years, it's about only 800.
800 units.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. That's why we'd like to focus ourselves on the financial institutions. Like other financial institutions might give us 1,500. I think we're looking at. Yeah, if it pushes through.
Okay. And then the mortgage that you purchase are which income, which
Yeah, socialized
Type of
and
housing.
economic.
socialized and economic
Yeah, right.
housing. Okay. And then they pay directly to you, itong mga homeowners, the owners of the units.
Yeah.
They pay directly to the National Home Mortgage.
Yeah, in the end, we take over the buyer's financing, and therefore we actually do the collection.
You do the collection.
Yeah,
Diretso
right.
na sa National Home Mortgage.
And
So itong 800, they pay directly to you.
right, right.
How is the collection rate of this 800?
There are two parts of our receivables. The first part is the Unified Home Lending that was stopped in 2010, 2009, right? So that we are experiencing a very low collection rate, but since we launched our program of housing loans receivables 2009, our collection rate for those receivables are 85%. Yes.
Taas rin ha, 85%.
Yes. Yeah. But the advantage of the Unified Home Lending, because they're pretty old real estate mortgages, like they're probably about 25 years old or maybe 30-year-old, is the value of the underlying asset there, the land, has actually increased by maybe 10 times, 20 times.
I saw here in my briefer that in 2024 and 2025, the number of units that you are buying declined.
Yes.
How come it declined for 2024, 2025?
Well, firstly, we implemented our policies strictly, and secondly, we felt that the opportunities lie in the real estate mortgages that are existing in other financial institutions rather than developers, right? So that's the reason why it's slowed down.
Okay, from here in my notes, 2,170 finance units in 2023, and then only 27 units
Correct.
in
That's correct.
2025.
Right, yeah, that's correct.
But you buy from government financial institutions
We buy from government and private sector.
and private sector.
And private.
Only banks? Only banks or developers as well? In-house financing ng developers?
Prior, it was basically developers, but now we're looking at financial institutions, such government, private banks, even other financing institutions such as savings associations, right, cooperatives.
But in the past, it's only, nakita ko dito sa programs ninyo, it's mostly, for example, itong Housing Loan Receivable Purchase Program, originators, government agencies, developers, financial institutions, home financing institutions.
Yes, yes.
So these are the target. And then you also buy from developers. Kasi in developers, may in-house financing sila eh. You also buy from them?
If they care to sell.
Okay. I'm sure they will, no? Kasi parang capital na yan eh.
Sometimes they don't care to sell.
Okay. Baka yung mga mayayaman, mga Ayala, mga ganun. Pero I think yung mga...
Even in the socialized and economic housing,
really?
it turns out that the developers, there's a tendency for them to hang on to their...
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. But you have bought from developers
in the past,
in the
yes,
past.
in the
Okay,
past, in the
all right.
past.
Okay. And then in 2026, I saw here in your target is you plan to purchase around 2,219?
Yes.
That's
yes.
the target?
Yes. Currently talking to the other financial institutions, that's the kind of numbers that we're getting. We
Okay.
hope that we push through with our targets.
All right. And that will inject liquidity into...
No, yeah. Well, the
the-
concept is basically to bring in private investment into housing.
I hear
Instead of, it's just like the treasury bonds. People are purchasing treasury bonds very quickly. The retail treasury bonds are very strong. We'd like to have a housing bond that's just as strong as the treasury bills.
But you have issued your housing bond. Naka-issue na kayo in the past.
Oh yes, every year. Bonds, yes. This year?
So hindi nyo na
This
kailangan
September,
talaga yung 400,000. Mag-issue na lang kayo ng bond. No? Sayang.
Yeah, this year we've issued roughly about
Pahiramin na lang kayo ni Secretary ng
1.5.
400,000.
We're targeting maybe about 2 to maybe 3 billion by the end of this year. It's heavily regulated. We talked to a lot of other financial institutions to give us their okay. But if we're able to turn around rather quickly, we might reach about 2 or 2 plus billion.
What is the outstanding bond issuance right now? How much bonds have you
The total-
issued?
10? Roughly 10, 15, 10
Billion?
to 12. Yeah, right. Yeah. Since the time we started.
10 to 12 billion.
Yeah, right.
And then
Outstanding.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah,
This 10
right.
to 12 billion was used to buy all of these mortgages.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then the homeowners
Right. Yeah, right.
pay you, and then you pay the coupon of those bonds.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But we're actually the Fannie Mae of the
Yeah.
Philippines. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, people have advised us, the investment bankers advise us to make a dent in the market. We should be issuing about 5 billion a year.
5 billion
Sort
a year.
of. Yeah, so that's a target that we'd like to see, so that these capital markets can grow. The capital markets investment in housing can grow.
How is it, Secretary, yung activity ng National Home Mortgage? How does it play into the housing strategy of DSUD? Kasi meron ng 4-piece, how do I call this? Reform 4-piece, expanded 4PH. How does it connect?
Mr. Chair, they're basically provide liquidity in our market. As many of our borrowers or developers eventually will realize they could not wait until 30 years for the beneficiaries to pay them. So they need to be able to replenish that money, and NHMFC are able to buy the receivables. Doon po nagkakaroon ng refresh yung funding ng mga developers to do more projects. Yun po ang tulong ng National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation.
Policy point of view, I would assume that yung ang DSUD ba sits as the chairman of the
Yes,
of
Mr.
the
Chair.
National Home
Yes,
Mortgage?
yes,
Oo.
Yes.
So
Yes, our
if,
Chair.
if the target is to finance 1.3 million homes, largely from informal settler communities as well as low income, yun ang dapat tina-target nilang portfolio na binibili, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The idea is to get as many developers to do projects and then to transfer the receivables to
Yes.
National Home. So that in
But
turn,
not the upper, let's say, hindi naman receivables, let's say, ng mga upper middle, mostly. Kasi
generally
ang
they're
backlog
targeting
nandito
po
eh.
socialized housing.
Socialized housing.
Socialized housing po.
Socialized and
Socialized, okay. Is this socialized housing,
socialized to economic housing.
is that considered a high-risk portfolio?
Yes, but if you blend it in the asset pool, and
Do you lower the risk?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then you lower the risks because anyway there's many accounts with
Correct.
small amounts,
Yeah.
so the risks is spread out.
But the accounts is only 2,000, tama ba? 2,000 units? Therefore, that's 2,000 accounts?
Yeah, the last issuance is 1,500 accounts, which totaled to about 1.5 billion.
But yung
Right.
number of...
So that's roughly, let's say, 1,000 accounts spread out.
When you say accounts, yan yung may-ari ng bahay. di ba?
Yes, yes,
Oo.
yes, yes,
Oo.
yes.
So ngayon may mga 2,000 something, 2,000 plus accounts under your portfolio. Tama?
Actually, we have more, but right now we have 2,500 that we could still issue bonds against.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But we actually have much, much more. About 67,000 accounts.
6 to 7,000 accounts.
Right.
Okay. Can we ask also, meron ba tayong ano nila? Parang annual report? Hingi na lang kami ng annual report from all the KSAs.
Oh, yes, of course.
So that we can we'll have some information about your operations.
We will comply, Mr. Chair.
Secretary. Ano na lang, request also a formal letter doon sa wish list na na binanggit nyo kanina, so that it will be part of our kasi what we're doing is we collate all the wish list and then we manage where to get the funds. So padala na lang kami ng official letter.
We will submit an official letter.
All right. Okay. I don't have any more questions. No, so there being no further questions, the budget of the Department of Housing, Settlements and Urban Development and its attached agencies and corporations, namely HSAC, NHMFC, NHA, and SHFC, is now deemed submitted for plenary's consideration, subject to the discussion and the submission of documents requested. All right, thank you. Thank you, Secretary.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Session suspended.